So Caitlin Clark played in the All-Star game, and I don't know why I'm saying that because the whole WNBA played in the All-Star game. It's kind of the perfect culmination of everything in the WNBA season. But it's impossible to deny the Caitlin Clark effect is real, but it's also impossible to deny that in general the WNBA is booming. Like, is it booming mostly because of her? Yeah. But to act like the storylines of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese playing on the same team as each other, the Team USA who had snubbed a couple of players, Arike being snubbed winning All-Star MVP, and all the storylines, to say that that wasn't a big factor. Heck, if you look at this channel, the biggest views, a lot of the biggest views are some what's her name videos, Cheryl Reeve videos. So people aren't disliking the coach. It's the WNBA is just in a good spot right now. Obviously, most of it started off from her, but exactly what the WNBA hoped would happen has happened. That people come for Caitlin Clark and will stay to watch the league. But before we get on to, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are literally 150 away. If we could hit 25k by the end of the day, that'd be insane. Don't think we will. And if we could, that'd be absolutely insane. But if you have not seen, the All-Star game drew 3.44 million views. Million with an M. I don't know why did I say million with an M. Like, it definitely wasn't billion. But, so obviously this is from The Athletic. So, NBA All-Star Game shatters previous ratings record. Draws 3.44 million views. The previous record was 2003. And by the way, everybody talks about how, the WNBA was like bigger back when it first started. It's like, yeah, it probably was in the first like couple of years. But then it kind of slowed down. And the fact that it had slowed down, it had grown for a few years, and now more than double. Like, I'm not going to say triple because it's not triple. But to be fair, you will... And then that was the record. What was last year's? Again, Clark has played in 15 of the 17 most viewed games. It's the 17th game. This year it's top 1 million viewers. Last year's game... Sunday's game's well over last year's game. 850,000. So what's that? 4? 4 by 8 is 32. 3.2. Roughly. Let's just say roughly 4 times the amount. Yeah. 3.2 plus an extra 200. It is more than 4 times the viewers. So did a more than 400% increase. Or a 300% increase. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. From 850,000 last year. And oh my god, last year's of 850 was the most watched since 2007. And this year's had 3.44 million viewers. 3.44 million. The audience tracks the most watched WNBA event in the ESPN network and the third most watched WNBA game of all time based on data. It's the 17th WNBA game this year that has topped 1 million viewers. A remarkable achievement given the league had not hit a million viewership in 16 years. Clark has played in 15 of the 17 games. Like, that is ridiculous though, isn't it? The two most watched non-All-Star games were between Clark's and Reese's Sky. Each topped 2 million viewers. I think that was games 2 and 3. Sunday's game was well up over last year's game. ESPN is proud to showcase. And people being like, it's because of Angel Reese too. I'm like, yeah, Angel Reese is the second biggest draw in the WNBA. And the rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese is huge. Like, to say that Angel Reese is playing no factor in the growth of women's sports is completely wrong. To say AJ Wilson's playing no factor. To say even the whole Kennedy Carter situation played no factor. But that's the thing. If someone watches for one reason and they get interested in the stories, that's what I always said. It was like, okay, yeah. I said it from the very start, it was like, if a player cooks Caitlin Clark, that should be their Super Bowl. It should be their Super Bowl, because if a player cooks Caitlin Clark, their name is going to be instantly known to the masses. Just like Arike's game is now instantly known to the masses for cooking Team USA in the All-Star game. Like, that's just the truth of it all. But, yeah, that is just an absolutely crazy, crazy amount of numbers. And I do think that when it comes to the WNBA, nobody can argue and say that the Caitlin effect hasn't been a massive, and I mean massive, massive reason for the growth. Or a massive positive for the league. You can't say, the Caitlin Clark, like at the very start, when people are like, the fans that Caitlin Clark had brought in, they're going to leave when Caitlin Clark's gone. They've no interest in anything and we want them to leave. Like the start. It's like, no, they weren't even the Caitlin Clark fans. They weren't fans in general. They were just people that wanted to spew hate and put Caitlin Clark's face on it and did it on behalf of her. They weren't fans of the sport. The fact is that, again, the fans of the sport are, we're there. The fans of the sport of basketball who started enjoying the WNBA game this season are still there. And as somebody who, as someone who was a casual WNBA watcher for years, who would watch the finals and watch 4 to 5 games a year, would know what's going on, but not heavily watch. The fact is I've watched anytime I can watch a game, I'll watch a game. I've watched every team play at least 4 or 5 times this year. So it's like, I don't know, maybe I'm in the minority that isn't just watching the Caitlin Clark games. However, I don't go live for the Caitlin Clark games because it's hard to lose my damn mind. It's hard to lose my mind when it's a team that I'm not a fan of, a team that I'm not like. Well, they're not the team I support, but yeah, that's good. And for all the 3.5 million people that watched, I don't think anyone's going to leave not happy. And that's the biggest thing, is like, nobody watched the third Caitlin, or any of the Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese games, other than maybe the first one. Nobody left any of those games thinking, I don't want to come back and watch basketball again. Don't want to come back to watch women's basketball. And it's the same with the 2023 championship, the original biggest game. No, and then the rematch, which was even bigger the next year between Clark and Reese, where Caitlin Clark had 40 point near triple double. And then you had the game against UConn, which even broke that viewers wise. And then the final, where Caitlin had 18 in the quarter, and then Cardoso was just too big. It's been a big year for women's basketball. It really, really has. And again, to say that the Caitlin Clark effect isn't real, I think you're lying to yourself at this stage. You're lying to yourself. Just like I remember, it was one of the articles that said Rickea Jackson was actually second in Rookie of the Year. You are lying to yourself. That's all I'm gonna say. Is you can lie to yourself and say that the Caitlin Clark effect isn't happening, or you can lie even more and say that, oh, it is happening, but these are fans we don't want in the game. Realistically, it's the reason why so many people are going to make so many of these players and so many future college players with NIL deals and WNBA players are going to make a hell of a lot more money.